Hello again. Thank you for joining me for another video. So I was scrolling through my YouTube and I noticed a lot of channels popping up, a lot of videos popping up in my feed about narcissism. I had an ex who was, it's still hard for me to convince myself that that is what I was dealing with, because I really just absolutely firmly believed that I could fix him, that I could love him enough to fix him. I could change myself enough to prove to him that I loved him enough, that that would be the thing that fixed him. It was clear it was a wound of not feeling loved and blind to other people in a manner of speaking. It's still hard to fully heal from that, and that took up so much of my life, took up a huge chunk of my life. So the energy right now that we're about to go into for August is a good time to clear out some of those old limiting kind of patterns and habits, especially to do with other people in this way. So that if your feed is full of advice for how to heal from narcissists, you might have one in your past, and the algorithm might be helping you bring this to light and stop. Don't go back. Stay present in Happyville. Don't go there again. But it brings me to the point of this video, which that wasn't the point of this video, but I do wonder how it is that we created so many narcissists. Because oh yes, well, our economy and our pressure and all of these, our education system, that the hierarchy, of course we're going to create narcissists, but all of the people who aren't narcissists went through that too. They went through the same programming and didn't come out that way. So we can't just blame it on that. There's got to be other things at play here. And anyway, so I was thinking on that. And so I'm practicing somewhat early on. When I started the channel, I had a few times mentioned everything happens for you and not to you. And when you turn your mind to think that way, you can re-examine problems in a new light. And so I've been practicing on some of the things with that advice, on some of the things that I contemplate and I think about in order to get lighter in my spirit and my life and my well-being increased and all those wonderful things. And I was thinking about competition. Competition is one of the things to me that feels like the opposite of community. So isolation doesn't feel like the opposite of community. Competition feels like the opposite of community, because it's like you have to perform in order to be accepted. And if you don't perform well enough, then you're excluded. And it's like the most hyper egotistical, driven aspect of social relations. And, it is what it is. Not pleasant in my book. And I think also almost impossible to completely stifle that drive to be your best, and not at the same time that you're trying to be your best, compare yourself to others, and then in that comparison potentially think less of others and think more highly of yourself. So keeping things on this equal footing, equal framework, where you recognize that the underlying beingness of us all is the same. That same life force and consciousness is within us all. It's like, so I will get to my point, but my computer's making funny noises and I apologize. I can't make it stop. I'm going to work on getting a new setup, but between now and then, I apologize for the extra noises. So we are like multi-dimensional beings. This is like an obvious thing on certain levels and less obvious when you get to more subtle realms, right? But we have a very dense physical body that experiences and interacts with reality at the same time, we have less dense experiences of emotion, which is, biochemistry, and then we have even less dense experiences, which are thoughts and imagination, interacting with time via memory and projection, and on and on and on, right? So the way that I understand it, the grand cosmos, the creator of everything, which is we are a part of and unable to separate from fully, is also multidimensional and existing as all of us at the same time and everything at the same time. So capable of being multidimensional or fractaled, or however you want to understand that, all at the same time. So we have this whole thing set up in this competitive framework, and we're competing with ourselves, and it's such an awkward thing to be doing, and really easy to completely miss and forget the truth of that substantial nature that we all carry in concert with each other. We're all that one unified field. There's no getting around that. The only time we're not part of that unified field is when we're in these like individuated selves and in a form of competition with each other, and hierarchy and all these weird status, and then you get hurt in the process of all of this because you miss that inner loving nature that it is infinite and connected to all things, and you can get really bogged down into the little self, and that not expansive version of yourself. And so I'm trying to reframe how I view competition, because it's one of that, like, I've always been this way where I'm not going to compete. I downplay my intelligence, I downplay my looks, I downplay my talents. I have, gifts that I have never brought out. I would never dream of it, because I so resent and hate the feeling of competition. And so I'm looking at competition, and I'm trying to attempt to see it as a tool for my greater awareness and understanding, and the lesson that it can provide to me. And looking at, so why I feel that way. So my point is that the idea of competition is a really great pointer, because wherever you feel that kind of like that competitive vibe with somebody, or like jealousy, or those kinds of things that come up, it's a pointer to a wound that you might have that you can address. It's usually a wound based on a false belief that has carried beyond its helpful nature. So you might have had an instance where that belief was true, but then you allowed it to turn into a worldview and a perspective, and anything even remotely similar reinforces it. And they're hard to get at, like the root of some of these things. And so if you allow where you feel competitive with others, and where you feel less firmly planted and footed and comfortable in your own space and self, and showing up in the world as you are, those are usually pointers for you to pay attention to. Like if you see a woman that's more attractive than you, are male, if you're, whatever, a person who's more attractive than you, and then it makes you feel some kind of way, then you can like use that little bit of discomfort to look within and see, do I have a belief there that you have to look a certain way in order to be loved? Do I have a belief there that says that I'm not good enough unless or until, or that your self-worth and your love, your ability to receive love must come externally? those kinds of things. So using that competitive thing, like, so if you're, trying to learn how to play guitar, and you see all these people who are already really good at playing guitar, and then you might think, what is the point, because they're better than me. And so that, like, what is that line of thought, if you can trace it back, where did it come from, that if you're not the best at something, it isn't worth doing, so that you can reframe it so that you can enjoy life as it is without having to be the best at a certain thing, and knowing that the enjoyment of being alive and being in relation with reality and being able to do things like play guitar, like put makeup on or dress up, or just feel good in your own body, regardless of how other people are perceiving you, but just enjoying the feel of your own body. There's that life force that connects us all. Like, why would we, as an infinite being, want to have individuated experiences like this, and exist in this strange multi-dimensional way where this we have the opportunity to compete with each other and do this weird thing, but we're all one. It's like, if my foot starts competing with my hand, we're going to have problems. I'm going to have problems. And, luckily that's never the case. But it's just one of those things I've been contemplating in terms of the larger picture, and attempting to utilize some of the understanding of that perspective, of the wholeness, of the oneness being perceived in the little body, and how that relates to my perception of other people. Because I have big problems with feeling isolated, and big problems with loneliness, and I would really like to resolve that. And so that involves not being overwhelmed by the competitive and restrictive nature of our social systems as they are. But that's just one of the things I'm working on. So hopefully some of that gave you some food for thought and things to think about. Please feel free to leave comments below. I look forward to reading them and seeing how you are also in your process. All right, take care till next time.